Action.
Nothing was ever going to be the same.
Danger.
If I slip up or if I turn my eye for just 1 second, someone could get the drop on me.
Adventure.
The Amazon River, everything that we have here in North America, except bigger and scarier.
You're listening to Sea Story.
Episode 23, Roger That.
My name is Jocko Willink. I'm a retired SEAL officer. I'm from a small New England town, and this is my sea story. When I first got to the SEAL teams in the early 90s, there was not a lot of doctrine written down, and almost everything that we learned was passed on to us by word of mouth from those that came before us. And so as I grew up in the SEAL teams, we learned from stories. And as I became more senior and gained more experience myself, I tried to make sure that I captured the stories that I experienced and held on to the stories that I had been told by the people that came before us and before me, so that I could pass those on so that the lessons would not be lost. I was the task unit commander of SEAL Team 3 Task Unit Bruiser. It was 2005, and we were doing a workup to prepare to deploy to Iraq. And the part of the workup we were in was close quarters combat training. And this is going through rooms in buildings and hallways, live fire, very dynamic movement, working together as a team to clear these structures. It's a very challenging block of training. The instructor cadre that runs the training, they're all SEALs with multiple deployments, they're very experienced, and they're also very harsh and very critical. And they're constantly barking at everyone that's going through the training, making sure that you are shooting straight, making sure that you're hitting the target, making sure that your groups are tight. They check your tactics, they check your safety, they watch everything. And they jump down your throat when you make a mistake. And that can be hard for some people to contend with. I told all the new guys in the task unit that when the instructor cadre jumped down their throat or yelled at them or told them to do something, what the new guys should respond with is a simple statement of Roger that. When they tell you to move faster, Roger that. When they tell you to tighten up your shot placement, Roger that. When they tell you to be more aggressive when you enter a room, Roger that. That's all I wanted them to say. I didn't want them to make any excuses or blame anyone else. I just wanted them to take the criticism on board and make whatever changes were needed. A simple, straightforward, Roger that. I would love to tell you that it's just the young new guys that have trouble accepting criticism when it comes their way. But it's actually just about everyone that has a hard time accepting criticism when it's being aimed at them. And the problem with that is, if you can't accept criticism when it comes your way, you're actually never going to improve. So when you do get someone that's trying to tell you to do something different, or that you're missing the mark, or you need to try again, instead of getting mad at them, instead of directing your frustration towards other people, take a look at yourself and listen to what they're actually saying and see how you can utilize that to improve your performance as a person, as a sailor, and as a leader. We did have a bunch of new guys in the task unit, and one of the new guys was a young second-class petty officer from Southern California by the name of Michael Monsoor, or Mikey is what we called him. And he was a good, confident individual, but he was still very humble. And he was also relatively quiet, especially around people he didn't know very well. And being a new guy in the task unit and being new to the SEAL teams, that made him even more quiet. And so a couple days go by, we're going through this training, and Some guys are doing well, some guys are not doing well, and I'm getting sort of debriefs from the training cadre. And the training cadre, these guys were guys that I knew. And so these guys would fill me in with what was happening. And the Master Chief that was running the training was a friend of mine. And after a few days go by, he pulls me aside and he says, "Hey, what's up with this Monsoor guy?" And it kind of surprised me a little bit to hear him say that, because it was the kind of question that hinted that maybe we had a problem, or maybe we had a guy with an attitude. And Mikey definitely didn't have any kind of an attitude problem. And I kind of looked at the Master Chief and I said, "There's nothing wrong. What's going on? I mean, he's a great guy. What's up?" I could see in his eyes that he was frustrated about something. And then he says to me, "Look, every time I tell Monsoor to do something, he just looks at me and says, 'Roger that.' That's all he'll say back to me." And I kind of laughed. And then I told the Master Chief, I said, "Master Chief, that's exactly what I told him and the rest of the new guys to do." I said, "When you guys get told to do something, you just keep your mouth shut, you look at your instructor and you say, 'Roger that.'" And that's exactly what Mikey did. And Mikey turned out to be an incredible SEAL. When we deployed to Ramadi, Iraq in 2006, he performed with valor over and over and over again until September 29th, 2006, when Mikey threw himself on a grenade to save 3 of our other teammates. And in saving them, he sacrificed his own life. And for those actions that day, Mikey was awarded the Medal of Honor. And on top of that, there was a ship named after him, the USS Michael Monsoor. But on top of those incredible statements about his service, those of us that knew him will always remember, even more than that he lived as he died, dedicated to the people around him, to his family, to his friends, to his teammates, and to his comrades on the battlefield. And I know that I will never forget his humble attitude and the way that he looked at any challenge presented before him and simply responded by saying, "Roger that." If you want to hear more stories from me, you can check out my podcast, which is called Jocko Podcast. And if you want to hear more stories about the Navy, you can subscribe to this podcast, which is called Sea Story.
Coming next week.
If I slip up or if I turn my eye for just 1 second, someone could get the drop on me and it's over from there.
Sea Story is brought to you by America's Navy. Learn more at Navy.com.